Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. We come to you live from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. We're also live on all our social media platforms on Facebook and on X. Coming up this afternoon, Tamale High Court orders a rerun of the disputed Pandai parliamentary elections after upholding NDC's claims of irregularities in the 2024 December polls. Also this afternoon, Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana CTAG declares indefinite nationwide strike over government's failure to fully honor 2023 arbitral award by the National Labour Commission. Plus, U.S. government officially notifies Ghana of the reversal of President Donald Trump's 15% tariff on cocoa and selected agricultural products exported from Ghana. We have details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. Do stick and stay with us. My name is Judith Brown. Welcome once again to the bulletin. We start from here. Now, CTAG says the decision the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana CTAG has declared an indefinite nationwide strike effective today, Monday, 24th November 2025. A statement from the National Executive Committee directs all members in the 46 public colleges of education to withdraw all services, including teaching and supervision of students, and the further notice. Well, CTAG says the decision follows government's failure to fully implement the National Labour Commission's arbitral award issued on 2nd May 2023, despite multiple engagements. CTAG maintains that the strike is lawful and a necessary response to what it calls government's persistent breach of agreements and disregard for binding directives. While the association says although members remain committed to quality teacher training, they will not accept continued neglect or disrespect. Local chairpersons across all colleges have been instructed to ensure full compliance with the directive. So what exactly are the issues pushing CTAG to this action? Well, my colleague Enyonam Haliga joins me in studio with more details on this particular issue. Enyonam, good afternoon. Well, tell us, what are the major grievances CTAG is raising in the strike?
CTAG has outlined some 5 key grievances which they say remain unresolved and have forced their hand. Now, first, there's the non-payment of all year-round work compensation for additional duties performed in 2022. That's across 339 colleges of education, with only the Accra College of Education receiving a partial payment. Secondly, they are speaking about the outstanding book and research allowances for the areas for the 2023 and 2024 academic year. And thirdly, they speak about the unresolved book and research allowances arrears for 2022 and 2023. They also spoke on the unpaid book and research top-up arrears for the 2021-2022 year, owed specifically to staff of the Korea College of Education. And finally, CTAG is protesting the downgrading of experienced teaching staff holding master's degrees, which they argue violates agreed conditions of service and the Labours Act.
And Anunam, with these grievances clearly laid out, what exactly is CTAG demanding from government before returning to the lecture halls?
Their demands are actually very direct and uncompromising. So they are asking for full payment of all outstanding allowances across all affected colleges, immediate reversal of the controversial downgrade of qualified teaching staff, and complete implementation of the National Labour Commission's arbitral award delivered in 2023. Now, they insist these actions must be taken in full before any member resumes academic duties. And so, Judith, those were some demands that the CTAG is making to government.
Right, and so thank you very much for your time. Enyonam Haliga has been speaking to us on that CTAG strike. But of course, we're going to do some more stories. And Ibrahim Abubakar visited some colleges of education in Kumasi to assess the impact of the strike and joins us on phone for more details on that. Ibrahim, what can you report?
Well, I can tell you that the strike has started biting hard. In fact, this morning, no tutor or teacher stepped foot in any of the class when students were ready, waiting for their tutors to come and lecture them. In fact, some had the notice since yesterday, so they knew what was going to happen today. But clearly, majority of them were unaware of the intended strike. For that matter, they came to school very prepared to learn, but only to be told that their tutors will not be coming. And they are quite worried. They said that the academic calendar started not long ago, and they are expecting their tutors to be in class. If we recall, somewhere last year, they went on a strike for a long period, and for that matter, it has already disrupted the academic calendar. So they are just trying to catch up, only for this to also happen. So they are just pleading with government to do the needful, in fact, call these tutors back to the drawing table so that they resolve the issue for them to also be able to continue with their academic activities. I earlier spoke with some of the frustrated teacher trainees, and let's listen to what they've been saying.
It's going to affect the studies of the students. That's our freshers and then the continuous students. You know that we just paid a huge amount for the school fees and we came here. So as we just started with lectures and we are even approaching SMAS, also the timetable, that's the provisional timetable, is already done. So
it's taken effect because, as you can see, we are just roaming about. We have nothing to do now. No lectures, no anything. We are just there. Then we be eating, drinking, sleeping. As at now,
it's going to affect the studies of the students. That's our freshers and then the continuous students. You know that we just paid a huge amount for the school fees and we came here. So as we just started with lectures and we are even approaching SMAS, also the timetable, that's the provisional timetable, is already done. So
it's taken effect because, as you can see, we are just roaming about. We have nothing to do now. No lectures, no anything. We are just there. Then we be eating, drinking, sleeping.
Oh, you hear there's some frustrated students right there in Kumasi, the colleges of education on strike. We're going to head to Accra now, still on this particular issue, because Nura Mohammed, she's joining us from the Accra College of Education. Nura, can you tell us really if the strike is in force at the Accra College of Education now?
Yes, indeed. The strike is fully ongoing at the moment, and I just spoke to the local chairperson for the association, and according to him, they will not be calling off the strike. It's an indefinite strike. They will not be calling it off until the government pays them all that they owe, all that is in arrears concerning their research and book allowance, and also they also have issues concerning the migration of some of their teaching staff onto the public university payment structure. And according to them, those teaching staff have been downgraded. And so they have these and so many other concerns, and they will not be calling off the strike. I've also spoken to some students. I spoke with the SRC vice president, and she tells me that most of the students are in their dormitories, and they are not, classes are not ongoing, and most of them just loiter about doing nothing really.
And have you been able to engage any of the teaching staff as well? What are they saying?
Yes, so the teachers hold the same position as the local chairperson. I think he's actually a teacher himself right here at the college, and they also share the same sentiments. They will not be teaching, they will not resume teaching unless the government pays them what they are owed.
All right, many thanks for your time. Nura Mohammed, of course, is at the Accra Colleges of Education. She has been speaking to us on the strike and how students are being affected as well. We're working the lines to reach the president of CTAG and also get his view on what really is happening across the country in terms of the colleges of education. But if you're just joining us, this issue has to do with an imminent strike now by the colleges of education Teachers of Ghana, they have declared an indefinite strike, nationwide strike, effective today, Monday, 24th November 2025. And they issued a statement from the National Executive Council directing all members in the 46 public colleges of education to withdraw all services, including teaching and supervision of students until further notice. They say that their decision follows government's failure to fully implement the National Labour Commission's arbitral award issued on 2nd May 2023, despite multiple engagements. So as I said earlier, we are working the lines to reach the president, of course, of CTAG to give us more details on that. But before we get him, of course, Binda Hospital, a vital healthcare facility currently serving as a direct hospital for the Bumprugu Napanduru district, faces an uncertain future as promises made during the 2013 government takeover remained unfulfilled, casting a dark shadow over its operations. The hospital currently records over 150 patients daily, highlighting its critical role in the region's healthcare system. Well, established in 1982 by the community leaders and members who envisioned a healthcare center for their families and built it with their own hands, Binde Hospital gained hospital status in 2002 and became the direct hospital for Bumprugu Napanduru after government took over in 2013. Well, the facility, which once held the title of best hospital in the old northern region, is now about to collapse due to alleged government abandonment, according to community leaders. Pibri Rana Dakogu Mamara Banzua II is paramount chief of Pibri traditional area.
This year, we targeted it because we have seen that the government doesn't listen to us. The district assembly doesn't listen to us. I can see that buildings here, they are all dilapidated. And this is the only hospital feeding the two districts, Bumprugu Napanduru district, Yunyo Nanswan district, and beyond. The Charapani district, they all come here. The Togo, they come here. Garo Tempani, they come here. But still, our requests are not met. So we are appealing to the government to come to our aid. Here, you can see that we don't know toilet facility. No toilet facility, no accommodation for nurses.
Well, you heard the paramount chief of the Pribrana area. But we're going to do some more stories. This time, some good news, because the United States has officially rescinded the imposition of a 15% tariff on cocoa and certain agricultural products from Ghana. Ghana's foreign minister, Samuel Kuchoko, has announced. Now, according to the minister, the decision took effect on November 13, 2025, following a new executive order from the President Donald Trump. All the tariff escalation followed a July 31, 2025 executive order by President Trump, which raised reciprocal tariffs on a number of countries, including Ghana, to 15%. The minister noted that with Ghana exporting an estimated 78,000 metric tons of cocoa beans annually to the U.S. and current spot prices around $5,300 per metric ton, this reversal could generate an estimated $60 million, which is equivalent to 667 million Ghana cedis in additional revenue each year. Well, Ghana has welcomed the decision, with Mr. Blakwa adding that Ghana and the USA will continue to forge closer and mutually beneficial relations. Let's speak now with Anthony Morrison, he's the president of the Agri Chamber Executives. He's joining us with more details on this. This must be a great source of relief to you and to Ghana. Now, how significant is this removal of the 15% U.S. tariff for Ghana's cocoa sector, and what real economic gains should the country expect?
Well, thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to your charity. Yes, of course, the Chamber welcomes this news. We want to first of all commend the government, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Trade Minister for such diplomatic feat. I know it's not been easy for them, but this is an economic break for the country in that it sets out a huge support in order for us to achieve our export challenges. But while we applaud them, there is also the need for us as a country to call in for some national strategic institutions to secure long-term economic benefits. Some of these things come in a way that also destabilize our long-term strategy as a country, because now we're looking at a 24-hour economy, creating a special agroeconomical zones and a specialized agro-processing zones within an industry long-term strategy. This is where the Chamber thinks that as a country, there is a need for two overarching bodies to be able to underscore this very challenge. One of the institutions we calling for is the National Raw Material Council, or the Ghana Raw Material Council. This is to be able to mark out all the raw material availability in quantity and location, and to know what quantity should be reserved for country local production, and also what quantity we should target annually for export. Otherwise, all the strategy, the funds, and all the activities being done to industrialize this country will come to naught. And the second is to also make sure that as a country, we have put in a very long-term strategy that will support national industrialization drive. And we are calling for the establishment of the Industry Development and Regulatory Authority. This is very important in view of this very announcement. These two institutions are very key towards driving the sustainability of industrialization in this country, especially where we need to clearly map and intentionally develop and establish industry. This is very important. But we want to say that while this development is welcome, the Chamber urges the government to also view this as a catalyst to address our fundamental structural gaps in our agro-industrial sector, and also to prevent a return to a cycle of raw material dependency. We propose the challenges that I have enumerated earlier.
Right. Now, how can Ghana and the government as well ensure that this particular tariff relief directly benefits the farmers and strengthens the cocoa value chain locally?
Well, this is where we diversify, and if you have listened to the Vice President, Her Excellency Professor Nana, she made it clear that most of our cocoa going forward, there'll be value addition, same as most of the agro commodities that we export. And this is where farmers now can supply directly to the factory and be paid for their money and don't have to wait for a month or two. For the farmers, this is a time to group ourselves into cooperatives, strengthen the cooperative standards and guidance and quality control to meet industry demands, because right now the global competitiveness is such that we need to make sure we are being competitive in terms of quality and standards to be able to meet several economic complexities, as like the some of the ban that was put in place by the Donald Trump government. So I think that going forward, we also need to strengthen our farmers' skills and make them sophisticated in order to build, to be able to produce quality and safer food for us. That notwithstanding, it is also important to mention that we need to channel some of these gains from this tariff removal into building a robust local manufacturing base, addressing internal bottlenecks and fostering a competitive investment climate. The country can transform these short-term gains into long-term sustainable economic transformation.
Right, and Anthony, just before you go, briefly, if you could explain to us what really this particular tariff relief means for the Ghana's U.S. trade relations going forward.
Well, obviously, in the global sense, diplomacy is key. And, even though U.S. appears to be our third largest partner when it comes second largest partner when it comes to cocoa trade. But we do also know that we export quite a lot of agro-commodities to the U.S., especially cashew, shea butter, and the rest. So this comes in very strategically, especially for the fact that we are looking to promote local processing and value addition. So we want to see how this can work towards a long-term gain. For me, those are some of the things we need to be looking out for.
Right.
Where American investors will also see opportunities here in Ghana, invest directly in the country, and for us to be able to export and make export gains.
Well, many thanks for your time. I've been speaking with Anthony Morrison, who is the president of the Agri Chamber Executives. Let's do some more story. And visiting Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward, has this morning visited the 135-year-old Ebri Botanical Garden, which was established by the British Empire, founded in 1890 by the then Governor William Bradford Griffith. The Ebri Botanical Garden served as the inhalation needs and many others of the top officials, and this rickety helicopter was the mode of transportation of Governor Griffith. Well, His Royal Highness, together with the Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Clement Park, prior to his tree planting exercise at the Ebri Botanical Gardens, visited the Presbyterian Women's College of Education and Model Kindergarten School. And George Quaining is with on that royal tour ongoing and is joining us for more details on that. George, where's the Duke of Edinburgh right now?
So, Judith, thanks so much for your time. And as it stands now, the Duke has left the premises of the Ebri Botanical Gardens. The exercise for the exercise is over now, and so that's it. He's left to wherever he's lodging in Ghana.
And how was his visit? Did he speak to you on how probably he enjoyed the botanical gardens?
So he's actually been here. This is actually his third time coming here. First time he came with his wife, and the second time came with the current king of UK, that's King Charles III. And now he came on his own as the Duke of Edinburgh. And so when he came in, there's a significant spot here where most of these royals plant trees here. So the first tree that was planted in 1961 was a mahogany tree that was planted by Queen Elizabeth II. And another oak tree was planted by the current king of UK, King Charles III. That was in 1977. And so he is the current royal that is planting another tree here. And so it's a significant, thing, if you ask me personally. And so he planted a wawa tree, and that was, led by the officials of the Ghana Tourism Authority, and then the Omanhene of Ibrahim and the Ibrahim of this very land. And so the authorities here welcome him, and for them, this will go a long way to boost the ecotourism in Ghana and also aid in inhalation processes in this very part of the country. Judith.
Right, many thanks for your time. George Quaining has been joining us. He's been on a tour with the Duke of Edinburgh, who has been visiting the Ebri Botanical Gardens, and he says that's for his third time. To one of our headline stories, and the Tamale High Court, presided over by His Lordship Emmanuel Brew Plage, has ordered a rerun of the Pandai parliamentary elections within 30 days. The court has also directed the first respondent, Matthew Nindam, to desist from holding himself as MP-elect. On January 30, 2025, the NDC parliamentary candidate in the 2024 parliamentary election, Daniel Nsala Wapao, filed a petition at the Tamale High Court challenging the declaration of New Patriotic Party's Matthew Nindam as Member of Parliament elect for the parliamentary or Pandai constituency. According to him, the results of the parliamentary elections as declared by the Electoral Commission was invalid due to some irregularities and inconsistencies contained in some of the pink sheets for 41 out of 152 polling stations. Well, according to him, the December 7 election was inconsistent with Regulation 39 of the Public Elections Regulations 2020 CI 127, which, as well as the principles laid down by Regulation 39, thus affecting the outcome of the election. Well, Christopher Marco has monitored proceedings at the Tamale High Court, and he's joining us live for more details on this. Chris, why are you in court today, and tell us how it all unfolded?
Yes, so Judith, I must say that the Tamale High Court today brought finality to the Pandai election petition filed by the former Member of Parliament, Nsala Wakal, praying the court to annul the December 7 Pandai parliamentary elections. And today the court affirmed that petition by Mr. Nsala Wakal and granted that relief of calling for a rerun in the Pandai constituency. The court has also directed that that should be done within 30 days. So, Judith, it's true that there is the Tamale High Court has called for a rerun of the Pandai parliamentary elections.
Well, many thanks for your time. Let's now take a listen to the counsel for the petitioner, Papu Ado.
At every district election collation center, there are certain rights that are preserved for the candidates. Now, when the polling station closes, you move to the district collation center, and that's the parliamentary collation center, and certain things can be done there, including asking for a recount of even the polling station. Now, when you say that the disturbances at the collation center, the law is clear that you either adjourn it to the next day or you can adjourn it even for a week. But you don't relocate the district or redesignate the collation center without notice to the participating candidates. And then you, when you were brought to court, decide that you are going to support one side against the other, making allegations that the petitioner was involved in busing hooligans to the place to come and destroy property and also to engage in acts which were inconsistent with the election laws. When the district election officer was put in the box, he could not even point one, even his own videos, to show that indeed the petitioner had done any of those things. So clearly, our point was very simple. The failure to notify the petitioner of the relocation and redesignation of the collation center meant that clearly there was no way he could have participated in the collation and to be able to exercise his rights, which included serious irregularities which we brought to the court.
Now, Deputy NDC Director of Elections, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, had this also to say.
All along, the NDC has been saying that there are several crooked electoral officers who are bent on stealing people's mandates. And one of it is what has been exposed today. We said it time and again that the seat of Pandai was the seat for the NDC. They rigged the election, and we've been saying it time and again that we will continue to expose crooked electoral officers who will continue to rig elections. We will stop them. We will make sure that the NDC will prevent such rigging machinery of the then MPP and their crooked collaborators in the Electoral Commission. Clearly, the CI 127, if you look at Regulation 43, 1A up to H, spell out how collation of parliamentary election is done. You collect results based on two forms. We have Form 1C and then Form 1D. You assemble the results in the Form 1C and then put the summaries on Form 1D and declare the results. This was not done. They didn't do that. They just organized themselves, ran to Tamale, cooked some results, and announced Mindam as a parliamentary candidate elect. This is what they did. And that is why we made sure that we follow through the process. The NDC is the most lawful political party in Ghana. We didn't use lawless means to get this verdict. We made sure that we followed through the process, and we have gotten favorable judgment.
Well, and that was Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, ending the bulletin right here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you this afternoon. Do stay tuned. Business News is up next.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up this afternoon, cooling inflation and stronger non-oil growth give Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana confidence to consider lower interest rates as Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama declares economy on a firmer footing.
With inflation likely to settle between 4 to 6% by year end, Ghana is entering what could become a multi-year period of price stability.
Meanwhile, financial analyst calls for aggressive 200 to 300 basis points cut, but by the Bank of Ghana. We'll hear from Head of Finance at Urban Capital, Nelson kuchoko.
The Bank of Ghana may be cutting down on the rate by some 200 to 300 basis points to about 18.5%.
Plus, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, slams government's fiscally dangerous plan to acquire Afina oil interests. We'll hear from its director, Ben Boachi.
And they can have a commercial arrangement around it. Why is the government going to take on the risk? Those are legitimate concerns.
We'll bring you details of our headlines and other stories shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has reaffirmed confidence in Ghana's economic outlook, citing stronger and more diversified growth underpinned by robust performance in services, industry, and agriculture. Speaking at the opening of the 127th Monetary Policy Committee meetings in Accra, he said the broader macroeconomic environment is now firmly aligned with continued expansion into 2026 as money supply growth moderates and inflation continues its downward path. Dr. Isiama noted that inflation is expected to settle between 4 and 6% by the end of the year and stabilize around the medium-term target, providing further support to recovery and job-creating growth.
The composite index of economic activity suggests an increase of about 9%, and business and consumer sentiments also remain firmly positive. Taken together, these gains confirm that the negative output gap is narrowing and the economy is gradually shifting from recovery to expansion. But the turnaround is not accidental. The non-oil sectors, services, industry, and agriculture are all expected to remain the key drivers. Money supply growth has moderated significantly, helping anchor inflation. Real rates remain high, creating room for a carefully calibrated easing cycle. And with inflation likely to settle between 4 to 6% by year end before stabilizing around the target band in 2026, Ghana is entering what could become a multi-year period of price stability.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, speaking at the opening of the 127th Monetary Policy Committee meetings. Meanwhile, as the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana prepares to announce its policy decision on Wednesday, November 26, 2025, a finance and tax expert and the head of finance at Urban Capital, Nelson kuchoko, is pushing for an aggressive rate cut. He expects the central bank to slash the key lending rate by a substantial margin, forecasting a reduction of between 200 and 300 basis points. This move, if implemented, will significantly ease the cost of borrowing for businesses and consumers.
Cannot grow an economy when you have the lending rate way above 20%. Government intends to create about 800,000 jobs during the 2026 fiscal year, and this is largely going to be driven by the private sector. And the private sector can't also grow when lending rates are so high. And so given these two background, we are forecasting that by the end of the meeting, the Bank of Ghana may be cutting down on the rate by some 200 to 300 basis points to about 18.5%. And once you have the policy rate at 18.5%, you expect the banks to also reduce their lending rate. And that is going to favor the private sector. They can go and borrow, expand their operation, employ more people, and grow the economy.
And that was finance and tax expert and the head of finance at Melbourne Capital, Nelson Kuchoko. For his part, country senior partner at professional services firm PwC Ghana, Vish Ashiagbo, is urging cautious optimism, saying while falling inflation and improving economic conditions point to a possible reduction in borrowing costs, he would not be surprised if the Bank of Ghana keeps the policy rate unchanged at its upcoming announcement because significant risks remain.
It's a difficult one. I would not be surprised if the rate was held at its current level. Yes, we are seeing inflation coming down significantly. In fact, it has come down significantly. But let's remember that it's currently within the band. The Bank of Ghana targets 8 plus or minus 2%. There's room for a further reduction. However, there are still risks out there. So we proceed cautiously. At least that would be our thinking. So difficult to say. There are so many things that go into the decision that the committee makes, but I wouldn't be surprised if the rate was held. It would be good if it was cut, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was held.
Vish Ashiagbo is country senior partner at PwC Ghana. This is still Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Outside some other stories, government's move toward a state-led takeover of Springfield Exploration and Production's interest in the Afina oil discovery has drawn sharp criticism from the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, which calls the plan illogically and fiscally dangerous. ACEP's executive director, Benjamin Boakye, cautioned that the proposed acquisition of Springfield's stake in the West Cape 3 Points Block 2 lacks commercial justification and exposes the state to unwarranted financial risk.
Credibility question hasn't been addressed, and if that could be addressed, we could reprocess whatever government is doing. You are giving this job to GMPC that just finished an evaluation. All right. So the question then is GMPC going to do another evaluation that would be different from what they have just done? And Seawell is a credible entity. All right. It's a credible entity globally that everybody knows. If they could swindle them the way they did and produce the report that they have just done, I don't expect a different outcome. This is a third option, the third round of GMPC doing another evaluation, and that we are actually thinking about. So there's every legitimate concern on those points. You talked about Petroleum Commission's recommendation for a tieback. Why are we not pursuing it? If it is a tieback with an MPV of 276 million, and they can have a commercial arrangement around it, why is the government going to take on the risk? Those are legitimate concerns.
And that was ACEP's Executive Director, Benjamin Boakye. Before we go, the government's Treasury Market auction held on November 21, 2025 was undersubscribed for the 6th consecutive week, signaling continued investor caution. There is more in the following 3 business news desk report.
Government sought to raise 6.418 billion cedis but received total bids amounting to 4.953 billion cedis. Ultimately, government accepted 4.838 billion cedis across all 3 tenors. 91-day bill received bids totaling 3.937 billion cedis, of which government accepted 3.829 billion cedis at a yield of 11.13%. For the 182-day bill, offers amounted to 749.25 million cedis, with 744.25 million cedis accepted at an interest rate of 12.68%. The 364-day bill received bids of 266.83 million cedis and 263.83 million cedis was accepted at a yield of 13.06%. The persistent undersubscription indicates challenges in meeting government's domestic borrowing targets. Looking ahead, government aims to raise a smaller amount of 2.862 billion cedis in the next Treasury auction scheduled for November 28, 2025.
And that was the 3 Business News Desk report on Treasury Bull Market undersubscribed for 6th straight week. And that brings us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also, for more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Thanks for your company.